Start streaming. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the Pharmacy Seeds Network, Hudson Valley Farmers and Gardeners Net. Just want to get the stream up and rolling here. I'll start the net in about 2 minutes. Give people a chance to come in, etc., etc., etc. If you're not familiar with Hudson Valley Farmers and Gardeners Net, Hudson Valley Farmers and Gardeners Net is an amateur radio net hosted over amateur radio every Tuesday night at 9:30 p.m. by yours truly. I'm also an amateur radio operator, obviously, and we talk about farming, gardening, and all sorts of related stuff like that. So, and excuse me, I got a frog in my throat. It's just about 9:30, so I think I'm going to go ahead and start the net. We'll go from there. See if there's any check-ins. This is KD2IN, net control from the Hudson Valley Farmers and Gardeners Net. Hudson Valley Farmers and Gardeners Net is a net dedicated to education, communication about farming and gardening. If there are any check-ins, please call now. Hello. Whoever came in, hello.
K2JLV portable.
Oh, hey. The net recognizes K2JLV. How are you tonight, Dave?
Doing well, thank you for asking. K2JLV back to net.
Hello, backyard gardening. I'm doing okay.
Here's K2BHM.
Alright, the net recognizes K2BHM. Are there any further check-ins? And hello, Jim.
Here is AC2KV.
And the net recognizes AC2KV. Chris, how are you tonight?
Well, sir, thank you for asking.
Very good. Are there any further check-ins? No further check-ins recognized at this time. Let's roll back to the top list and check in with K2JLV. What's going on with you gardening and farming wise, Dave?
Good evening to everyone on the net. I don't have a heck of a lot going on as far as farming and gardening goes. I'm actually currently removing one of my gardens that has been sitting dormant for probably 5 years now. And I'm chopping it up with the, there are a bunch of raised beds, and I'm chopping it up with the large garden tiller I have, with the idea of moving the dirt into places that are needed around the property.
Well, my slice of heaven.
And other than that, I'm hoping to get a couple of tomato plants and a little bit of herb gardens kind of situation going the next couple of days. So basically that's what I've got going on. K2JLD back to net.
Oh, very good, very good. Well, sounds like you're making good progress. Excellent. Let's roll on down to Jim, K2BHM. Jim, what's going on with you? I know you don't do much gardening, and I know you haven't had much time, but I would just ask you if you have anything ongoing gardening and farming wise.
Yeah, thanks, EJ. No, absolutely not. My wife had to go in for another operation in the hospital. Just got her home tonight, and that's been taking up everything else. So I'm going to be listening and enjoying the conversation.
All right, very good. Well, I hope her surgery went well and she's healing and recovering quickly. Sorry to hear that. All right, very good. Well, thank you for checking in, and we'll roll on down to AC2KV. How are you tonight, Chris? It's Chris.
Doing well, CJ. Been super busy with work, so I haven't been home too much. Today's my first day off in a while. I've taken care of a bunch of stuff, but the garden is coming along. The tomato seedlings look like they're doing okay. Actually, one has actually got a small tomato on there, so I'm happy about that. And we've got some squash plants that are doing pretty well, and cucumbers are popping up. So far so good. We'll see how it goes. Usually at some point,
Thanks for my slice.
the last few years at least, things take a bad turn and don't go so well, but I've got my fingers crossed.
Yeah, I'm hoping for a better growing season this year too. So far, so good. I'll keep my fingers crossed as well as knock on some wood. Fantastic. You said you have a tomato on one of your plants already?
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. I went and looked at things for the first time in I don't know, about almost a week, because I've been just getting home so late and it's been almost dark, so I haven't really been paying too much attention.
Buffering.
And
Sorry.
took a look today, and yeah, there's a little tomato, so I'm happy about that. I'm not sure which variety it is, because I got a little scrambled up with my seedlings, but I'm just happy to see something.
K82 and control for Hudson Valley Farmers and Gardeners Net. Well, that's excellent. Yeah, I don't even have flowers on any of my tomatoes yet. But did you start those seedlings yourself?
Yeah, I did, and I was almost worried that I started them a little bit too early this year. I don't exactly remember when, but
That's
they were
probably
starting
what it
to
actually is.
outgrow the little seed pots that I was using. So I was glad to get them into the ground, and so far everything looks okay. So like I said, hopefully it'll be a decent year. I was a little worried about all this rain lately, but it seems like it's doing everything's doing okay. I know the cucumbers like rain, so they like a lot of water, so they're popping up, and hopefully they'll have a good crop of them too.
Yeah, very good, very good. Yeah, and yeah, actually it was drying out quite a bit here. I was back to irrigating the last week or so, and was really looking forward to this rain. And then the first line that came through last night was only maybe 1/10 of an inch, and I was like, uh-oh, I hope that's not it. But we actually got about an inch last night, which was just a good timely rain and a nice soaking for things, so that was excellent. Let's see, we'll roll back to the top of the list here in a minute, but let me just pause and take an opportunity for check-ins. This is KD2 Net Control for the Hudson Valley Farmers and Gardeners Net. If there are any further check-ins, please call now.
This is 82 RWI. I don't think you got me, CK. I threw my call in a little while ago.
Very good, very good. Well, I'm sorry I didn't catch you, but the net recognizes KD2 RWI. And I guess since you're on the list here, before we rotate back up, what's going on with you gardening, farming-wise? Anything exciting? I think we talked a little bit the other day. You said you had some herbs and stuff.
Not too much news going on. Got no projects related to any farming or anything. Herbs are pretty simple. They're growing a bit. We've got a dead plant, which I can't remember what it was. It was a smaller tree. We put some chocolate in there. What he used to do is shed chocolate mint coming back. It's growing, and it's kind of pretty substantial. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it. So that's the only thing that really got going on. Nothing new. Back to that.
Alright, I think you said you had a dead plant in there, and then I did catch something about chocolate mint, but that's it. Your signal went pretty staticky there. I don't know if you're using the portable and your location changed or what. But we'll come back around to you in the next rotation. Hopefully you'll have a better spot. Alright, let's roll back up to the top of the list. K2JLV, this is KD2IN Net Control. Pick it up.
So thank you, CJ. K2JLV. Yeah, it's good to hear a lot of people on the net tonight. Sounds good. Actually, I did have a question for you regarding those tomato plants that you gave me so kindly. Much appreciated. I'm planning on re-gifting a couple of them over to Frank, who I told you wanted some from last year. He was considering doing some container gardening for those. Would that be okay for those tomato plants? I know they do require some space.
Well, as with all things, it comes down to scale. I guess it depends on how big a container you're going to do it in. Yeah, you could, and you probably would still get some decent tomatoes out of it, but I would go with a fairly large container, as they are a pretty robust plant size and tomato size wise as well, as you know.
Very good. For reference, possibly about the same size that you have your citrus plants in, your citrus trees. I would say maybe 8 or 9 gallons.
That would be a small container for that by my standard, but yeah, that probably would work, especially if you put really good soil in it. I would think they would do okay that way. The big thing with containers is, most of these containers are a dark colored plastic. I would do something to protect that dark colored plastic from receiving sunlight directly, because that'll put the tips of those roots, which is the growing part of the root and the most absorptive part of the root, that'll put those up around 120, 130, 140, and you don't want to do that to them. So I would say do something to shade the pot itself from direct sun.
Very good. Well, I will pass that along. I do have something for the next round, so I will stick around for that. K2JLV net. Back to net.
All right, very good, very good. We'll roll on down to K2BHM quick, see if he has any comments.
Yeah, CJ, K2BHM. No, not really. I'm not doing tomatoes this year. There's just too much going on with medical issues and stuff like that. So I'm just kind of sitting back and listening and enjoying the conversation.
All right, very good. Well, thank you for supporting the net. We'll roll on down to AC2KB. Pick it up, Chris.
Yeah, let's see. What else is going on here? Last couple of years, actually, with my tomato plants, out of nowhere, I got the dreaded tomato hornworms, and I don't know where they came from. They might have come from a store-bought plant. They might have just showed up locally, but I've never ever had them before. What do you do about them? How do you? Is there a way to repel them? In the past, all I've done is gone around and picked them off, and usually, by the time you find them, it's a little bit too late. But I was wondering if there's anything I can do to maybe keep them away.
Yeah, I've had those other years as well. They're actually the worm of a moth, believe it or not. So they could come from anywhere. They could come from your local environment or elsewhere. Let's see. I usually just pick them off, but this year I'm actually going to try some nasturtiums. I'm told nasturtiums will repel them if you plant nasturtiums with the tomatoes, with the benefit of improving the flavor of the tomatoes and the yield. I haven't tested that to see, but that's on the companion planting list, so that might be one option. But yeah, I usually just pick them off. It's the easiest thing to do. And usually there aren't too many of them, although they do camouflage in well, so I hear you on how they can really do some damage. Best thing I could tell you is keep a close eye on your plants. If you found one, you may find more, and keep an eye out, because they can eat a lot of vegetation in a very short period of time, as I'm sure you're aware.
Oh yeah, first year they showed up, I guess it was about 3 years ago, boy, that was devastating. By the time we figured out what was going on, it was too late, and which you say is true, they camouflage really well, and they usually hide, I guess, under the underside of the leaves, so unless you're careful and look around, they're difficult to find. But the nasturtiums, that's not a bad idea. Maybe we'll give that a shot and see how it goes. AC2KB.
All right, very good. And another companion plant they recommend is basil with tomatoes. It's supposed to improve yield and vigor, and some pest and disease resistance as well. So you might try a combination of the three. And who knows, maybe it'll work. Like I said, I'll be testing it this year too. We'll see. All right, very good. Let's roll on down to KD2RWI. KD2RWI, this is net control. Pick it up.
82 RWI, before I say much of anything, how is my signal from here?
Much improved, much improved.
Good to hear. But what I was saying earlier was I've got not much going on related to farming at the moment, but I have a hibiscus tree that recently died, and we put it in with some chocolate mint. And where we threw the tree right next to my shed, the chocolate mint is still growing. It's a very resilient plant in the herb, and keeps growing. It's actually gotten to quite the sustainable size. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it, so kind of a mundane story, but that's all I've got really going on at the moment.
Alright, this is KD2IN, net control of Hudson Valley Farmers and Gardeners Net. Interesting. Yeah, I've never grown hibiscus, although that's one I want to add to my list. I don't know, have you ever tried hibiscus tea?
Yeah, I've tried hibiscus tea before. Not fresh. I should definitely try that because we've got a couple of other hibiscus plants. It's fairly weak. It's more of a aromatic tea, I guess. You smell it pretty good, and that's really it. It kind of tastes like water, though.
Interesting. I haven't had any from any I've grown or anyone I know has grown, but someone shared some hibiscus flowers with me, and I made tea with it. And maybe I just made it really strong, but I found it to be a really strong flavor, and I can't really describe the flavor, but I did like it. And I think that's supposed to be good for cleansing the liver and a few other good medicinally related things. So yeah, maybe try it in a stronger mix.
Yeah, that definitely. I'll definitely try that out. When I had it, it was very weak, and I didn't enjoy it too much. But yeah, I've got some leaves laying around that I can spare, so I'll definitely try it out.
Oh, leaves. Leaves you're talking about. The stuff I had was the flowers. So you might try some from the flowers that might be a little stronger flavored.
Yeah, my apologies. I meant the flowers.
Alright, no worries. Alright, this is KD2IN, net control for the Hudson Valley Farmers and Gardeners Net. If there are any further check-ins, please call now. No further check-ins recognized at this time. We'll roll back to the top of the list. K2JLV, pick it up.
Well, thank you, CJ, and very interesting, a couple of interesting topics here. As I remember, the tomato hornworm is the larval state of the hummingbird moth, as I remember.
Hummingbird moth,
and
that's it.
Can you confirm that, CJ? I can't remember exactly.
Yes, I couldn't remember either, but yes, the hummingbird moth, that is correct.
Very good. Yeah, I was thinking about that on the small scale. Might be worth attempting to put a net around the plant so that they could not lay their eggs on it. I was thinking something like the very thin version of the deer the deer preventative net for shrubbery. I don't know if it would shade the plant too much or not, but that was something I was thinking about actually.
Oh yeah, that might work. And if you're going to go that far, you might as well go to like a quarter inch mesh, and that would keep the chipmunks off them too, because I know chipmunks are little tomato thieves among other plants and seeds and such. Yeah, that's a thought. The one thing I have used, I should mention this, I have used in the past something called Scent Shield and another product called Mycostat. They're both basically essential oils of plants designed to protect plants while you get plant health up to the point where the plants can defend themselves from pests and diseases. And I did find that those would dry out the tomato hornworm completely. Like within 24 hours, it would kill them. And I think what it was in that is there was some peppermint oil in that, and I think the peppermint oil was just too hot and basically burned them. So you might be able to do something like that, but you'd have to be really careful not to go too strong on an essential oil like that. Those are really powerful oils in their concentrated form.
Very cool, absolutely. One last thing, and then I'm going to have to clear out of the net here, but I did want to stop in and support it tonight while I was out doing stuff outside. By the way, beautiful out right now.
Yes, it is.
The person I'm giving those tomato plants to has a lot, probably a truckload of those type of shrubbery planters of all different sizes. He has offered them to you if you are willing, if you are in need of such thing. I thought they might come in handy for your greenhousing over the winter. If you are interested, just let me know.
Okay. You say various sizes. What would be the smallest out of there, or are you not sure?
I would say like 6-inch potting pots would be about the size. I would have to guesstimate on that. I don't know for certain.
Okay. Maybe I'll shoot him an email, or I mean, I'm sort of interested, but I want to be careful not to overload myself because I do have quite a few planter pots already. But that can go the other way on you really fast sometimes. So, I'm possibly interested, so I should connect with him further on that. But thanks for the heads up. I appreciate it.
All right, very good. When I hand off the tomato plants, I will hook them up with your email or something along those lines if that is agreeable to you. And with that, I will say good evening to everyone, and it was nice to hear you on the net. And 7-3s from K2JLB, back to net.
All right, very good. One quick question for you. That was KD2EYH you were talking about, right?
Negative. Frank from work. He's the taxidermist guy.
Okay. All right, yeah. Share my email with him. I thought you meant the other Frank, who would already have my email. But very good, and I will let you go. I understand you have to jump out. Thanks for participating in the net, and I hope you have a good evening.
All right, thank you very much. 7-3s from K2JLB. I will be clear. Back to net.
All right, this is KD2 Net Control for the Hudson Valley Farmers and Gardeners Net. We'll roll on down to AC2KV. Pick it up, Chris.
Yeah, let's see. Don't have too much else to talk, but I do have a question here, CJ. My wife and I actually we get into little arguments sometimes about when we should be watering our garden. Are we overwatering? Are we
Water is a good
I
topic.
always go by touch. If I feel the soil and it feels like it's dry, obviously you need to water. But is there like a definitive answer for that? It's different, I guess, for depending on what you're growing. But
What you're growing, what your soil content is.
Do you have any recommendations?
Ah, boy, you opened a large can of worms, but it's a really good one to address. Watering, ideally you'd like to see a sine wave for watering. So you would water it heavily, soak it, and then it would dry out over a period of hours, days, or weeks, depending on your soil and what the crop is, and then you would water it heavily again. So that's ideally what you'd like to see. You don't want it to get too dry. And really the really interesting thing about water is water quality is so super important, both for irrigation and for foliar feeds, especially for foliar feeds. And that also applies to pesticides if you use pesticides, although of course I don't endorse pesticide usage. But regardless, so water quality is a huge thing. The best water you can get would be rainwater. And well water often has a high level of carbonates and bicarbonates, and those lock up a lot of the good things you get out of water. You lose if they're high in carbonates or bicarbonates. And you can actually get a water test done if you want to find out what your best water is. But maybe the easy answer if you're in a small garden is to capture rainwater and use that. I hope I've answered some of your questions, but don't be afraid to elaborate or ask further.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I guess we're sort of on the right track, and I was actually thinking about collecting the water from maybe one of the downspouts off the roof or something. We did have our water tested, our well water tested a few years back, but I don't remember exactly
It wouldn't have been for
what the
carbon
results were.
carbon.
I'll have to try to dig that up and see what that looks like. Yeah, you and I are
back here,
agreeing
Gordon.
that yeah,
Thanks for coming.
We should saturate, let it dry out, and
Right.
rinse and repeat, as they say. AC2KV.
And this is KD2 net control for the Hudson Valley farmers and gardeners there. Yes, we are definitely in agreement on that. There was something else I was going to say about water, because there's so many things to say about water. But yeah, really the answer is water the plants when they need water. But it takes practice and experience with the soil you're working with and with the plants you're working with to really start to understand where that curve is. And I even still find myself, a little bit off the mark sometimes. For example, this last week, I watered like 3 days ago or 4 days ago, and I really wanted to water again yesterday or even the day before, but I held off because I knew we had rain coming. But I'll tell you what, after we got that rain, massive growth spurt, so that tells me that I was actually deficient in water for the last couple days probably. Yeah, there's just so much to say about water. We could probably talk about water for hours actually.
Yeah, I hear you. You can just keep going and going. And,
Good night, Joey.
Continue to break.
Thanks for coming in.
And, my problem is sometimes if I
Yes,
get
exactly,
too deep into
Kiki.
it, I overanalyze and things tend to backfire. But yeah, thank you. That's something good to think about. And it makes sense that rainwater would be ideal. So maybe we'll try to make that happen sometime in the near future.
I wanted to talk about the testing. Yes. And I wanted to talk more about the testing. If you had your well water tested, that was probably for contaminants like pesticides or gasoline, benzenes, that kind of thing, and probably also for bacteria. But your standard well water test will not give you a test for bicarbonates. You can get one done through Logan Labs. I think it's about $30 or $35, and that'll give you a full analysis of carbonates, bicarbonates, etc. And then, of course, you can take action to mitigate that. Unfortunately, the only really good filtration for that, from my most recent and current understanding, is the reverse osmosis, which is typically quite expensive for a good RO machine.
Yeah, I hear you. Well, we don't want to go too crazy.
True,
We already, the amount of money spent is a little bit high for size of the garden we have here. But we'll take that under advisement. Thank you. That is good advice. AC2KV.
All right, very good. Well, thank you for contributing to the conversation. And that was a good question, and opened an excellent can of worms. Let's roll on down to KD2RWI, and then we'll take an opportunity for check-ins. KD2RWI, pick it up.
KD2RWI. Hey, I got not much to say. I'm really just enjoying the conversation. I find it pretty interesting. Got not much to add unless they want to ask questions, which I'm not sure what we've asked about. But yeah, I got nothing. Back to net.
All right, very good. Let's just pause and see if there are any last check-ins here. This is KD2IN, net control for the Hudson Valley Farmers and Gardeners Net. If there are any further check-ins, please call now. All right, no further check-ins recognized. And I don't want to leave Jim out of the rotation. I know he was just going to kick back and listen, but I thought we'd just go back to it real quick. And Then we'll roll through one last goodbye rotation here, I guess, and then we'll go ahead and close the net. So Jim, K2PHM, pick it up.
Just a quick one. Were you advocating planting basil in among your tomato plants earlier?
I suppose you could say I was advocating that. Yes.
How convenient. Tomato basil soup is one of my favorites.
Yeah, it's, believe it or not, it's even more convenient than that. Tomato, basil, onions, and garlic all can be companion planted together, and they all each perform a job in that micro ecosystem, so to speak.
That's amazing. that probably influenced several cooking adventures.
Yeah, it's kind of like which came first, the chicken or the egg? Which came first, Italian food or companion planting?
Exactly. Amazing.
Indeed. And yeah, the more you look into that, the more interesting it gets. And the more little pieces plant-wise or from different plant types that you add to an ecosystem in the right combination, the more diverse, complex, and productive that system becomes. So really interesting, and I'm just starting into more of that companion planting stuff, so I'm really looking forward to see where that evolves to in future years.
Yeah, amazing. It's like things happen by accident, but aren't really.
What do they call that? Synchronicity? Mimsy! What's up, Mimsy?
Serendipity.
Okay, well, something with an S.
Yeah, whatever. Anyhow, amazing. You always manage to come up with interesting stuff.
Well, thank you, Jim. Thanks very much, and I appreciate you joining and supporting the net. All right, let's roll on down to AC2KV. Chris, any final comments, questions, thoughts, or ideas for the net?
No, I don't think I have anything else to add.
Me too,
I
DP.
will say that I've watched a couple of videos on your YouTube page, and I'm enjoying it a lot.
Very good.
What was the last one I saw? I saw the additional water storage. I thought that was kind of fascinating that you have with your ramp pump system, which I think is amazing. And thank you for posting those, and thank you for holding the net, AC2KV.
Well, thank you very much for the kind compliment, and glad you enjoy the videos. Glad to hear good feedback on it, and yeah, I'll keep them coming. I have a few more videos RAM pump related that are more complex, and I just can't seem to get the time to put aside to put together all the pieces that I do to make a really out of the park type video on that sort of thing. But yeah, that new storage is excellent. That's really proved handy already. So glad you're enjoying it, and thank you for the kind compliments. All right, let's roll on down to KD2 RWI.
KD2 RWI. Yeah, I got nothing much more to add. Pretty much just listening, but yeah, having a good time listening. Back to that.
All right, very good. Well, I think that brings us around to the closure of the Hudson Valley Farmers and Gardeners Night for the evening. Thanks to everyone who participated. It's greatly appreciated, and always a joyous conversation. Don't forget, you can always check this out on the live stream playback on the Pharmacy Seeds Network YouTube channel. And yeah, that's that. Let's see, what else? There are other nets on this repeater, one other net on this repeater, Thursday nights, except for the third Thursday of the month, which is our meeting. Thursday night net is usually run by Dave, K2JLV, and that is basically a general chat net directed at providing good communication between all different amateurs. Anybody who can get into the repeater is welcome to join. That starts at 8 p.m. on Thursdays. For more information about our club, you can visit our website at www.omarclub.org. That's whiskey, 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 Oscar, Mike, Alpha, Romeo, Charlie, Charlie, Lima, Uniform, Bravo, Oscar, Romeo, Golf. Let's see, I think that's it. So thank you everyone for joining the net, much appreciated. This net is officially over and this repeater is back under regular amateur use. This has been a session of the Hudson Valley Farmers and Gardeners Net, sponsored by the Overlook Mountain Amateur Radio Club. This is KD2 IIN, say it 7-3, and invite you to join us again next week. Thank you everyone, have a good evening. Right out on the ID. Ah, thanks Mimsy.
Thanks, DJ. Enjoyed it. Take the PHN. Have a good evening.
Fantastic. So how's everyone on the YouTube tonight? Did I miss any questions in here? I've been kind of keeping an eye on, but I haven't really been paying super close attention. Oh, it looks like just chat. Turn up the volume. You can't hear me? I got it all the way up. Like maxed. Unless... Let me see. Really? You can't hear me? Yeah, the audio levels are kind of low. Why is that? What's going on here? How about now? Is this better? Speak up. I'm trying not to wake up my housemate. Or keep up my housemate. I don't know which, but I don't want to be too loud. You have volume control over there, don't you? Oh, Shug, you meant slug, didn't you? Hashtag slug. What's going on with you, Mimsy? Things must be growing like crazy down there by now. Did I tell you that 2 of those goji berries are up? Oh yeah, no, I did catch that. I didn't get a chance to comment on it, but that's awesome, Geeky. And actually, those smaller lemon trees in my greenhouse are from seed from the big lemon tree. That's an excellent way to start anything citrus related, provided they're a seeded variety. But that works really well. Best bet is to take the seed while it's still wet and put it right into wet, moist soil and germinate right out. Don't let the seed dry out, which is different than most seeds. But oh, what did I ask you? Oh, how are things growing down there? It's got to be cruising down there by now, right? You guys must be full into cranking season. I haven't had a chance to catch up on any of your videos. I've just been so busy. Thank you all, by the way, for your kind comments on the recent video uploads. Got lots of nice comments on there. I appreciate it. Yeah, I figured you would be starting to ripen stuff down there. You guys have such an advanced climate compared to here. Your garden is almost done, huh? Couldn't you restart, Kiki? Or does it just get too hot down there and you can't keep up with water? Speaking of water, what are you guys using for water sources for your gardens? Because that's a topic that is deep and complex. Too hot for many things. But like tomatoes and stuff should rock in there too, huh? I mean, if you could keep up with water. A 275 and a 55. And how fast do you go through those this time of year, Geeky? I'll bet you rip through them pretty quick on these hot, dry, sunny days down there. That's awesome. You're catching rainwater. That's the best water you can get easily in volume, or relatively easily in volume. Next to a good spring water, but it has to be a good spring water. I actually have to get my spring water tested because I want to know what my carbonate and bicarbonate levels are. Oh, congratulations on the new granddaughter, Mimsy. And that's okay, you don't have to get to them right away. It's not a mandatory thing. And it sounds like you're a little busy between new granddaughter, and I'm sure there are other family things around all that. Yeah, this time of year is busy for everybody. I'll tell you what, come usually by end of June, early July, this Farmers and Gardeners Net turns into dead land because everybody goes on vacation. There will probably be nights where we're just straight live stream. 12 Amish base for 1 scone tomato so far. Dry last month, emptied my tote. Oh man. Are you mulching at all, Geeky? It always amazes me after having really long wet spells and then suddenly you get a dry spell. It always amazes me how fast that flips over and suddenly it's just so dry. You know, you could just be so sick of rain and wet and then boom, it flips, and in a week you're like, man, I can't even, it just doesn't even seem possible that it was raining and I was just waterlogged for a week. Community water, but use a filter. The rest has been rainwater. Okay. Did you notice a difference when you water with the community water? And out of curiosity, does that water have chlorine or fluoride in it? Mostly leaf mulch and drip lines. Okay, well, you're doing all you can for it. You probably have sandy soil down there in Florida, huh? So then the next best thing you can do then is foliar feeds Geeky Gardens and build your carbon organic matter, because soil carbon can sequester so much more water. It's really amazing. Say for example, if you have 2% soil carbon organic matter, you can sequester about 8 days of soil moisture for plants, and then if you have 4%, you get about, I think it's 11 or 12 days, so you get almost double. Very sandy. Ocean is a mile east of you. Ah, you have the ocean. Ha ha ha. So, with the ocean a mile from you, you must have access to seaweed? Do you use any seaweed in your garden? By the way, ocean water and seaweed are besides biology, are two of the highest trace mineral nutrition things you can have available. And believe it or not, you could take 5% ocean water and mix that with your rainwater and water with that, say once a week. You'd see an amazing difference in plant health and growth and vigor, especially if you get good biology present. Chlorine and fluoride. Yeah, it removes the chlorine and fluoride, but here's the thing, Mimsy. It doesn't remove the signature in the water, and I know that sounds kind of hokey, but check out Dr. Gerald Pollack and also Dr. Masaru Emoto on water. Really interesting research on water. You don't get seaweed along the East Coast except tropical storms. Okay. Yeah, so it's hard to find. That's too bad. That's one reason I'd like to live closer to the ocean, is for seaweed. that would save me a lot of expense. Because if you buy like kelp meal like I do, or I also use like C-Stem, which is a product from AEA. It's a foliar-based product. But either one of those adds up pretty quick. Obviously, it's well worth it. I wouldn't keep doing it, but I'd love to have a free seaweed source. Unfortunately, the Hudson River doesn't bring us seaweed. I guess if I went south of Poughkeepsie, maybe I could find some, but probably not. Gulf Coast is pretty good, but too far away. Yeah, it would pay if you had like a pickup truck and you could make one trip and have, you know, a year's supply, or well, probably a couple of years' supply with that much for a small garden. So Mimsy, let me find you some links here. Let's see. Dr. Masaru Imoto on water. And Dr. Gerald Pollock. The fourth phase of water. This is a short one, but it'll get you introduced to the idea. And you can do further research on him. Well, that Gulf Stream runs along the East Coast, but down south it moves offshore 50 miles before it gets to Daytona. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Filter it if I have to use it. I'm just glad I've only had to use it 3 times. You got lots and lots of rainbow. It's very well. I hear you, Mimsy. I mean, you know, unfortunately, when they really need water, even not as great water is better than no water. But okay, as long as you're aware. Good, fantastic. I should have known you were onto that. You're pretty on point on your health and science. You seem to have a pretty robust background in that. I'm always impressed at what you're aware of. So many people aren't. So that's awesome. You guys usually just have hot, dry weather by this time of year, Mimsy? Hey, Robin, you're back. Oh, gotta check the bread. I understand that. Oh, thanks for the nice plug, we appreciate it. Yeah, I study a lot too. I wish I could spend like 12 hours a day just studying, but I'd never get anything else done. So I always have to balance it out. Super hot, humid weather typically. Okay, that's what I would figure. So you must get like, you must usually get big thunderstorms out of that, I would think, right? Yeah, I know, Geeky. I've been telling people this year we've had like a cooler spring and it warmed up slower. This is more normal for New York, as I remember it from years back. But in the last like 4 or 5 years, it's strange weather compared to what we've had. The last couple of years, it's gone like, even, we had like 3 years ago, I think, in March, it went up to like 90 degrees for like 3 or 4 days, which is totally not March for us. Usually we're still getting like the occasional snow gust in the end of March. And then this year it stayed cold right on out through most of May, actually. And rainy, which I guess is good. That gave us good reservoir charges. Still pumping water with a ram, so that's nice. Hopefully that'll continue. You do too, Robin? Yeah, okay, I kind of figured. Hey, Monkey Man, Waz123, what's up? Lots of thunderstorms and hurricanes. Ugh. Thunderstorms I don't mind. Hurricanes, not so much. We rarely get hurricanes up here. Yeah, you might be right there, Monkey. Yeah, West Coast is definitely getting hotter, huh? They're drying up, running out of water in Cali. And the East Coast, yeah, it has been cooler. I gotta wonder if that's normal climatic change, or if we have some effect on that, or if that's weather manipulation, or what. The H word. Oh, has it become one of those words, Kiki? Don't be dropping no H-bombs up in my crib, yo. Yeah, they are messed up, as well as the Gulf streams and all that kind of stuff too. And the ocean currents are messed up as well. Yeah, we know what you mean, Monkey Man. Grand solar minimum. Well, you know, that's a good point, Mimi. That's a good point. Yeah, I'll bet you've had your share since '57, Geeky. Yeah, we are at a grand solar minimum. In fact, the 10-meter band on amateur radio is pretty much dead. There's almost no propagation on it. And from what I understand, even 15 and 20 are pretty low these days. When we get back to the peak of the sun cycle, the 10-meter band is hopping. You can make contacts all over the planet easily. But when we get at the solar minimum like we are, boy, it just goes right in the tank. So interesting how much that relates to sun and climate and farming and gardening. People are always amazed at how much I'm able to tie together radio and farming and gardening, and how much they actually have in common or relate to each other. Clearing brush, what did you do? Clip a rock? Or catch some dirt? Yeah, it's a pain keeping a chainsaw chain sharp, especially depending on what you're cutting and clearing in. And then sometimes you find you'll find a fence wire in a tree or a log. Those are fun. Those will totally screw up a chain. And don't feel bad. Even the most experienced chainsaw user can mess up a chainsaw chain quick. I did a bunch of cutting a couple of weeks ago, and we got a 25-inch chainsaw, big machine. And I went out to cut up all these logs, and there was a piece of fence wire in one of the logs, brand new chain. It was literally like the third cut with a chain, and I clipped that wire and it screwed the whole chain up. I had to go back and resharpen the whole thing. Oh yeah, you got to keep them tight enough, but not too tight. That's always kind of a tricky thing to get the hang of. All part of the big cycle, yeah. Yeah, that chain is like $50 too on that machine. I have a chainsaw sharpener, actually. I struggle with keeping chains sharp for the longest time with files and taking them to have them sharpened and paying like, I don't know, I think it's like $12 to get a chain sharpened at the local shop here. The new chains were like $25. I got to a point where it was like it almost just pays to buy a new chain. But then I got this chainsaw sharpener, and hey, homesteading the hard way. Welcome. How are you? Anyway, I got that for about $50, and that's a well worthwhile investment. I can sharpen a chain in 5 minutes, like factory. Hire someone to do the chainsaw machine work. Yeah, that might be the easiest way if you got the money to do that. Yeah, I get a little paranoid too. Well, not paranoid, but I'm super methodical and procedural about using a chainsaw, because you can take a leg off so quick, man. That is one of the most dangerous tools you can use. Also one of the most efficient and effective tools to have. We're good, homestead. Well, I'm good, homesteading the hard way. How are you tonight? Okay, Mimsy, have a good night, and thanks for the thumbs up request. Have a good night, Mimsy. Good to have you in. Glad you came in. Okay, yeah. Yeah, they're definitely a technically oriented type machine, too. A chainsaw is not super complicated, but you have to understand all those parts and what they're doing and stay on top of keeping them functional. Hey, a file works good. The trick is the angle on the other side of the saw. If you can match the angle of the teeth, it's usually not bad. For $2. Ugh. Oh, man. That's so cheap, homesteading the hard way. 100% on the paranoid bit. Yeah, well, it's good to be paranoid. Better paranoid than lose a leg, let me tell you. Keep me straight, Mimsy. Good luck with that. What do I think about floor sleeping? I'm not sure I know what you mean. Do you mean like sleeping on a hard floor, like for your back kind of thing? Or do you mean more oriented or more related to grounding? Are you saying goodnight to us, Robin? If you're saying goodnight to us, goodnight. Thank you for joining. Scales way up way better than machines. That's true. And it's a lot cheaper, Monkey Man. Right, not the grounding bit. Well, this was just a question out of the blue, homesteading. But yeah, somewhat familiar with it. I haven't tried a lot of it. If I could stay sleeping on my back, that would work. But the problem is, I wake up like all in a knot in the morning, and usually my neck will be kinked over like this. And man, that just makes for a rough day. FEMA paid for half the new still farm grade for me after Hurricane Matthew drove all the trees down. Ha! Nice, Geeky. Good. I don't have any fear of him either, homesteading. That must be Chris. I don't have any fear of him either. Just a lot of respect for him because I realize how quick they could take a leg off. And when you go through a 10-inch oak log in 3 or 4 seconds, think about what that would do to your leg, especially a skinny guy like me. I mean, we're talking 2 seconds through my thigh. So you just got to be careful. And so I always I always put the brake on whenever I go to walk or step around something or move around something or move a log. Always put the brake on between cuts. I'm just very methodical about it so that I can't mistakenly hurt myself. I'm on TV! Yay! Working on oak and medrone. I'm not familiar with medrone. Medrone or medrone? Yeah, exactly, Geeky. Respect, not fear. Right. Respect and, the best thing you can do for safety, I find, is just to develop a safe method of doing anything you're doing and always follow that procedure. It's just like flying, really, You go through your pre-flight check, you check your fuel, you check your magnetos, you check everything, methodical every time. So the only problem you can have is one that you couldn't prevent, basically. And if you do that, boy, you work a lot safer. Because it would be easy not to be paying attention to a chainsaw, and then, yeah, exactly, yeah. And I've seen people with, I've seen lucky people who caught their leg with a chainsaw and had, like 35 stitches and like almost bled out. They were lucky because they didn't take their leg off, but that's the thing, So it's the same thing with the tractor, man. Like you leave a tractor, you don't put the brake on, the e-brake on properly on a hill, and you go out in front of it to do something. Next thing you know, it rolls on top of you. 5-ton machine on you. You're getting hurt. You and your electron hurting. Yes, your electronic cattle geeky. Yeah, exactly. Developing processes. And I actually did a video about that back late fall after after I cut a tree that I thought was going to go one way and went another way, and if I hadn't been procedural and methodical about it, it would have come right down on my head. And so it was good that I had that procedure, and that inspired me to do that video on safety. Yeah, same here, Geeky. I like to develop a procedure, and then I don't have to think about it. And I don't make dumb mistakes that way. That way you can just go out, and even if your mind's on 30 other things, you're following your procedure, and you just prevent yourself from so much hassle. Yeah, logging is super risky, even if you're super safe about it, man. All it takes is one tree that's got a hollow core, and it splits up the center, and the back end comes out and takes your head off, and there was nothing you could do to stop that, Well, you can get one, Robin. Just develop a safe procedure for using it. Yeah, tired will get you I never go out and use a chainsaw if I'm tired. There's nights where I'm like, I really need to go get firewood, and I'll kind of assess my own energy level. I'll say, if I feel tired, I'm not picking that saw up, because that's when the mistakes really happen. Yeah. Yep, freak gust of wind. My dad had an oak we were cutting when I was a kid, helping him do firewood. It was an oak, it was probably 18 to 20 inches diameter, massive tree up on top of a ridge. Couldn't tell from the outside of the tree, but the inside of the tree was hollow. And he cut the hinge into it to make the first cut. You make a hinge cut, and then you cut from the back, and then that controls the tree and makes it come down, and then that hinge tears loose at the end of the fall. He made that hinge cut, and he got about a quarter of the way into the tree, and the whole back half of the tree split and took off, and it just missed his head. So there's just stuff you can't foresee. Using too much saw, yeah, and that'll make you tired fast. I'll tell you what, that big steel MS-60 we use, I mean, that thing's a beast. It's nice to cut a tree with that. You can rip through them with it. But man, you have that around for 4 or 5 hours, and you feel it. There's a big difference between that and like my small Husky, my Husky 440. Silver patch, small diameter firewood mushroom production. Yeah, and are you familiar with coppice method there, Monkey Man? The coppice method is a great way to do sustainable firewood. Basically, you keep cutting trees off, and then you let them grow back. Like if you cut a stump off. Yeah, yes, okay. By the way, that silvopasture, I did check that out, Monkey Man. Excellent stuff. That's right on par with where my mind goes when it comes to regenerative agriculture. So thank you for sharing that. Bugs Bunny himself one time, cut his own rope. Ooh. Isn't that a Wile E. Coyote thing, actually? Oh, okay, Robin. How big are the trees there? By the way, I looked up, I think you sent me your coordinates. Oh, they're huge. You might be better hiring somebody for that. Those big trees, boy, it's a job to cut down a big tree. You really should have experience cutting trees before you go into anything big. It might be in the long run cheaper. It's certainly easier. Now what's that now? Do what now, Homestead and Highway? Axes are safer. Well, yeah. In general. You can hurt yourself with an axe too, though. Skyscrapers. Yeah. Yeah, you're probably better off hiring somebody for that if you don't have experience with a saw. Yeah. Yeah, even for firewood here, I don't really go much over 12 inches. There's no need to it. In fact, you have better heat value in stuff that's like 6 or 8 inches and smaller. There's more heat per cubic foot, per weight. Or I think it might be 6 inches. Trees grow bigger in Oregon? Well, that's the thing. Cutting them down is easy. Anybody can cut a tree. But if you want it to fall where you want it to go, that's tricky. And even those of us with lots of experience can still have a tree go the wrong way. So it's really hard to eye them sometimes, and hard to hinge them correctly. I mean, there's a lot you can do to get that right, but it can still go the wrong way on you. I still have it happen from time to time. I still end up with widowmakers. And that it's nice having the tractor for that, because then you can just hook the chain on it and do what you got to do. Oh, you got to be licensed to cut bigger trees. I guess that makes sense with the logging industry out there. But man, they come up with a license for everything, don't they? You know, if you have a license, you've been living a lie since, right? We're a bunch of do-it-yourselfers out here. Yeah, we're do-it-yourselfers up here too. Ooh, chipped a kneecap. Oh, that had to hurt. Yeah, I have too. Homesteading the hard way. I've cut a lot too. I mean, I've been doing it since I was a kid. I used to go out with a hatchet and cut trees down when I was, 8 or 9. And as I got older, the trees got bigger, the tools got bigger. Oregon, I hear Oregon is beautiful. Well, I've seen pictures of Oregon that's beautiful, and I hear it's nice. But I don't know. I don't know if I'd like the winters up there. Of course, I live in New York, so too many rules. I wouldn't have thought that up there, but I guess. I mean, I don't know much about Oregon, other than that it's beautiful and there's lots of trees, and a little bit about the weather. Too many rules. Well, New York is too many rules too. And it's getting worse, of course. Can't pump your own gas. That's like New Jersey. Can't pump your own gas there either. With early retirement extreme, the idea is that it takes less work in the long run to work overtime 5 to 10 years than rely on investments for X. Well, that's true, but your investments can go south on you. See, I lost my brother when I was 22, and that really changed my perspective on life. I was very, very much, work really hard, young, hoping to retire mentality then. And after he passed away, I realized that, life is short. You got to enjoy it while you're here. I still work too many hours, and well, I'm in farming, so there's not a lot of pay sometimes. But I try to enjoy it along the way too. We log in the winter 20 or 30 acres in the saw and a 1066 International Harvester with a skid. Oh, nice setup. Hey, thanks, Homesteading the Hard Way. Yeah, I was pretty excited about that. I have to say though, I find my own ads annoying. Well, that's a good way to go at it, Monkey Man. Lost your brother in your 20s as well? Ugh. That's a hard time to lose a sibling. How old was it your brother you lost, Robin? And how old was he? Mine was 29. Watching's even better, homesteading the hard way. That's the easy job. Winter is the best time to log for sure. It's nice to have that nice hard ground, good traction, easy skidding. The only place that can trick you is in swamps, as I'm sure you know. Although with a skidder you're pretty solid. To suicide, oh Jesus. Wow, I'm sorry, Robin. Mine wasn't suicide, I don't think. My brother hit a tree in a car accident. He was out drinking and partying all night and never made it home. Well, thanks, Geeky. You don't have to do that, but I appreciate it. 3 cents just for you. Exactly. And what does Google make? I'll bet their cut's 95 cents. Oh well. It's not really about the money. I mean, the money would help, but not really about the money. I try to do that too. I try to give them some ad revenue. Thanks, Monkey Man. Yeah, it was a long time. Like I started this new channel. I had another channel before this that got demonetized or got completely removed. I started this one, I think, September of 2016, so 2.5 years. I guess that's not too bad. I don't know if I'll make a fortune homesteading the hard way, but I'm hoping it'll offset some of my costs and loss. Because you know how much money there is in homesteading hard way. I hope I can help educate more people. That's my main goal. I'd like to teach people how to grow better, healthier food and build better, healthier soils. Just want to make a better planet. It's my main goal. Thanks, Robin. Yeah. Well, that's because you've been homesteading the hard way for so long that you're rich. I appreciate your sense of humor, Chris. Huh? Do what now? You're trying not to grow your channel? Well, I just saw an article pop up in the Google front page. I didn't actually follow the article, so I don't even know what it's about. But I saw one chef talking about he was trying to get Yelp reviews. He was offering an incentive to his customers of like 25% off for a 1 Yelp review instead of a 5. Like he wanted bad Yelp reviews. I was like, that's an interesting marketing tactic. Well, thanks, Homesteading the Hard Way. I hope it does too. I know, I don't like money either, but unfortunately it's a necessary evil. My insurance company won't take carrots, tomatoes, potatoes, education, chicken poop, chicken eggs. They won't take any of that. I wish they would. But they won't. Well, now that's a very good point, Geeky Gardens. I like being able to respond to all my people. But, I know, right? But yeah, I'm sure there will come a point where I won't be able to keep up with that. Reverse psychology, yeah, I know. That's what I was thinking. Maybe it works. Your insurance man farms on the side? Nice. My insurance just hides out behind a desk and sends me an exorbitant bill every month and doesn't give me anything but a piece of paper every 6 months for it. So I'm not too keen on my insurance man. Barter every month, yeah. I try to barter where I can with people. A lot of the people I know, we barter back and forth for stuff. I'm a big fan of the barter system. Large channels that respond to comments for like an hour stay more views due to that is very true, Monkey Man. But man, an hour, I don't know if I could spend an hour every day on comments. I just don't have that kind of time. Maybe if the channel starts making more money and that frees up more time, that would be great. I mean, I would like to make it, part of my income through this and be able to do more of this and to do more side-by-side grows, comparison videos, educational videos, that kind of stuff. Eventually, I actually want to turn this Tuesday night live stream into a more educational type thing, interactive still, but with more of a learning thing in mind. I have enough income to suit my needs. Get more now since I retired than did the last few years working. Yeah, isn't that sad, Geeky? Oh, you bartered with the insurance. Oh, good deal, Homesteading the Hard Way. Nice. Ah, yes. Everyone who farms needs a tractor mechanic, or they gotta be their own mechanic. And even if you're own, you can't do it all. There's times it calls for somebody who has more skill or better tools. Do I make money at this? No. At farming, you mean? Or YouTube? Neither, as of yet. I do it really more out of passion, to be honest, Robin. I want to make money someday. I've been trying to scale up, and I started out small scale so that I could master each of these systems, and then when I scaled up, I wouldn't take a huge loss by scaling up and making a mistake. And I'm getting better, and I'm working at scaling up, but every time I try to do that, some little hurdle comes along. Like I picked up a tractor last fall, and a nice machine, runs well, but needs work, and my mechanic was supposed to take it over the winter. Oh, YouTube, okay, well, I'll just finish the story. My mechanic was supposed to take it over the winter, and I guess he was too busy over the winter, didn't take it till April. So I got a tractor, and then I lose it in April to the mechanic, and I still haven't gotten it back yet. And then my truck went down, and so on and so on. So I've tried to scale up this year. We'll see how we do. YouTube, now I've made, in the last week, I've made $7.07 on YouTube. And that's a theoretical $7.07 because I haven't gotten a check for it yet. And the fuel bill and the feed bill, bow-legged and blind trying to see what I'm doing. Good Homesteading the Hard Way. Keep them shaken up. I wish I could barter for all of it. But I do cut my own firewood, or at least for the greenhouse now. I did for my other living space. And I try to barter for, you know, all kinds of stuff. But some stuff I just can't barter for, unfortunately. Hey, thanks, Robin. I'm sure they will. I'm just hanging in there, sticking to my guns. Yeah, they don't pay you till you hit $100. I had $125 worth of revenue from ads back before they demonetized my channel. And they said when they told me when they demonetized my channel that money would still be available, but I don't see it now. So they deleted that, and we're starting over from scratch. So I'm not real confident in Google ever sending me a check. Animals are far more reliable than machines, especially if you keep their health up with good nutrition. Works for the light company, just not enough. Hey, whatever you can do to offset the bill. Personally, I have a little bit of a vendetta against the power company. The minute I can go completely off-grid and cut them out of taking money from me, you can bet I will. You work on mules too? Well guys, we're about an hour and 20 minutes into this, and I still have more to do tonight, so I think I'm going to go ahead and call this a stream. But thank you everyone for the support and excellent discussion as always. I really enjoy you guys' company. Has to be able to do everything, absolutely. I really appreciate you guys supporting me and coming in and talking. I actually look forward to our YouTube discussion. This has made this a lot more fun for me. The Farmers and Gardeners Net can often be pretty short and pretty not all that interesting sometimes, so I really enjoy this additional interaction and enjoy you guys very much. I don't know, copyright strikes or something like that. I think I shared a video I wasn't supposed to share, or who knows, somebody may have just filed a copyright strike against me. I didn't contest it and all that because I would have had to get a lawyer, and I'm not a fan of lawyers or anything to do with courts. I want nothing to do with that, so I just let it go. And then this one, I've only done original content for me only, so if anyone does copyright strike against me, I'm definitely going to take issue with them. That's when it tends to smooth out. Yeah. Well, anyone, Bueller? Anyway, thank you guys. You all have a good night. I'll see you Friday night, Homesteading the Hard Way. Always appreciate you guys' live streams as well. Good night, Geeky Gardens. Good night, Monkey Man. Good night, Robin. Thanks to everyone who's watching and participated. Much appreciated.